Ruby is a dynamic interpreted language, and this time I'm gonna talk about how it handles classes and how that simple it feels like. The day I learned what I'm gonna show you here, I had my mind blown. Hopefully, I'll give you the same feeling. Let's start with a simple class. Do you know what is self in each of these places? As you can see, when you're in the root level, we're actually inside an object called main. Now, when inside the class definition, self becomes the class itself, which is an instance of the class. Pay attention to this statement. An instance of a class. That's right, classes are just plain old objects of class. Now, let me show you a different way of creating a new class. We just create new instances of class. It's that simple. That constructor can also take an argument, which is the superclass. This is how you can define inheritance. By the way, the class ancestors method allows you to see all the inheritance chain for a class. The Ruby classes I've shown you this far are constants, but they don't need to be. Check this out. Constants in Ruby are pretty much just variables that start with an uppercase letter. In this example, product is a variable, not a constant, just because it starts with a lowercase letter. Did you notice the difference though? Because now product is a variable and not a constant, it does not get a name assigned to it. You can see that in the output. You see the memory address, not the class name. That's what Ruby does for you behind the scenes when you assign a new class to a constant. It defines its name based on the constant name. Now let's dive into another Ruby feature, class methods. First, let's see an example you're probably very familiar with. Here you have a simple class method defined. Not much going on here, right? But now that you know what self means inside that context, is it more clear for you how that works? If not, let me show you how we will define that method for the product class, which is created with class new. Can you see how these methods are defined? You pass them the object you want to attach the method to. Self in the first example is person. In the second example, we use product, which is the constant we created manually. This doesn't apply only to classes. You can use that to define the so-called singleton methods in specific objects. Check this out. As you can see, when you do that, only the object for which you define the method will respond to that method. And lastly, remember that when in the root level of the Ruby code, we were actually inside the object class? Almost all classes in Ruby inherit from object. And this is why when you define a method in the root level context, it becomes accessible almost everywhere. Because you're almost always inside a class that inherits from the object class. Well, that covers it for this episode. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed this snack.